We're looking ahead to a little bit later this morning. Our President Ramaphosa, is hosting his Namibian counterpart, Hage Geingob, in Pretoria. The visit going to see the two nations solidify their bilateral relations. So how do they do that? What does it look like at the moment? Well, we've sent him out to the union buildings, and he's waiting eagerly, of course, for it all to start. ENCA senior reporter Siphamandla Goge out for us on almost the red carpet there for you, Sipha. I see they put the red carpet out for you, but the two presidents are going to make their way there a little bit later. What do we mean by solidifying bilateral relations? We're direct neighbours. What is there to discuss?
Indeed, it boils down to one thing. These state visits must be looked at in the context of what is known as trade diplomacy. In the modern world, whereby you need each and every partner you can get, issues of trade are very important. Historically, South Africa and Namibia have got strong historical ties. At some point, those ties were not really positive, in a sense that South Africa, the apartheid regime, colonized Namibia. But you know, those strong historical ties between the liberation movements, both in Namibia and in South Africa. I've spotted the Namibian delegation. They've already arrived here at the union buildings. So solidifying those bilateral ties and relations, in a sense that to improve areas and issues of cooperation in terms of trade, diplomacy, politics as well, because these are two neighbors. One may be small in terms of size and population, but at the same time, their economies are intertwined. Namibia is South Africa's neighbor, South Africa is Namibia's neighbor, so there is a lot of trade going on between the two countries, and also people-to-people relations, because when you see the two heads of state meeting here, it's not about them, it's about the people of Namibia and the people of South Africa. So what will be happening here today, areas of cooperation, memorandum of understandings that will be signed here, will basically enhance people-to-people relations. But the gist of it all is the issue of trade diplomacy. Minister of Defense, Methandi Modise, joins me now. Areas of security in the region and in the continent will feature strongly during this state visit. Thank you very much for your time. Let's start with Sudan. Many international players and the international community is worried about what is happening in Sudan. What is South Africa's position? Many people are calling for the ceasefire. It's not holding, and many are concerned that it shouldn't get out of hand. It already looks ugly.
It does look ugly, but you know South Africa stands in any conflict. We encourage dialogue. We are calling for ceasefire. We are calling for people to sit down and resolve these issues. But we also do not agree that we don't support coups. We think that we can do better as Africans. And that is the role that we will play. Of course, in that situation, we also do get worried. Our embassies and South Africans are in Sudan, and we are doing everything within our powers to make sure that they are secure, and those that can be brought back home safely can be brought back home safely.
I know that South Africa is a special envoy to South Sudan in particular, and I know that is the president's prerogative and responsibility to decide what happens moving forward. Let's bring it back home now and talk about issues in the region. Mozambique is still a worrying factor, and you've got the president of Namibia who is at least cheering in that regard when it comes to the organ of peace and stability here. Are you still worried about Mozambique and the tensions that are ongoing there?
We're worried about Mozambique, but I must say that we have also recorded progress. We are where we are winding down, where we are busy now with a process, at least as the South African Defence Force, looking at the phase where you resettle communities, where you encourage infrastructure rebuild, where you encourage the Mozambicans to begin to take back their own control over their own resources. It is worrying what is happening there, but we are also looking at the players in Mozambique. But you can actually look at all the countries. If we are smart enough between Namibia and South Africa, we will now begin to discuss the recent findings of oils, because we know that as soon as you have anything discovered that belongs to you, you have people who think they have more muscles, and you will have conflict. So it is important maybe as on the bilateral issues, we'll start looking at how do we even preempt possible conflicts. Because the conflict in Mozambique, we are very clear. One is for many years, it was the route for small arms into this country of ours. Then it was drugs that filtered into our country via Mozambique. But also it is about what they have under their soil in Mozambique. So we need to be starting to look at how we make unity within Africa to protect Africa's resources and development as Africa. Because outsiders come in, they encourage inter-conflict, they encourage us to be at war while they loot our resources. And therefore, it is a worrying factor. But progress, yes.
Simply put, it means South Africa and Namibia, they need to put in place a security measure to say, after the discovery of this resource, which will be a potential for conflict, how do you enhance security? Because surely instability and conflict is coming engineered.
Yes, that is where we want to go. How do we preempt? Because every country, remember, reserves the right to be preemptive.
In the region also, let's talk about the overall security situation. Are there areas of concerns, or are there areas where you sit and you say, if as the region we can focus on this, we can have a peaceful and stable region together with Namibia? What areas would you like to see being enhanced in terms of security in the region?
Well, Lesotho is on the way to finding themselves, so we're happy with the progress there. We're still a bit worried about the resolution of the matters in Swaziland. We're worried about the economies that are not doing well in the region, because it means the inflow is into South Africa. And therefore, Namibia and South Africa, we will be looking at how can we enhance progress in the DRC? How do we together deal with the issues of, as the organ chair, the ongoing conflict in Mozambique, the Swaziland issue, and how do we engage with other regions which are within us to make sure that there is better cooperation? Because if you look at what is happening in the DRC, you've got the East, you've got SADC. Sometimes we are at loggerheads, sometimes we are cooperating, but we think that more dialogue and more dialogue discussions might help us to resolve that issue, especially of the DRC, quicker.
The Security Council, have you met and discussed Sudan, and what has the President indicated to you? Are you going to be sending an envoy there, or you are on a monitoring basis, watch and observe?
Well, I can say to you that our cluster, the security cluster, is observing. We are getting daily reports. We are finalizing strategies to bring back South Africans. But the President is engaged, and I think that it will be on the topic of their discussions with the President of the organ.
Minister, thank you very much for your time. Let's release you. You've got so much to do. That's the Minister of Defense, Thandi Modise. They're highlighting what this state visit will discuss in terms of security issues. There will be the issue of Lesotho in the region, Swaziland. There is the issue of what is happening in Sudan. Definitely both leaders will have to be seized with that matter, because it concerns everyone in the African continent.
Absolutely. Sipha, as I say goodbye to you, very briefly for viewers wanting to be part of the arrival of the President from Namibia, what time is everything starting? What are you expecting?
At 10 o'clock, we expect the program to get underway. Usually, such programs are not too delayed. If there is a delay, it will be a minor delay. But around 10 o'clock, we expect things to be moving. I will ask my colleague Tami Kamane just to pen and show you what is happening on the other side. I see members of the SANDF here, and the band are taking their positions. They are preparing to start the official program. That tells you that we expect to get underway at least by 10 o'clock. So that's what we expect to happen. If there is a delay, it will be a minor delay, but by 10:30 we should be underway with the program.
Well, you know, when the band is warming up, things are about to get underway. That's always the indicator as well, when the band is almost ready to go. Siphamandla Goge, thank you very much indeed. ENC, a senior reporter on the steps of the Union Building.